Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and today's show is sponsored by 8 Sleep. If you're having trouble sleeping, I got something that's going to help you out. Go to 8sleep.com/chatsports. That link's going to be available to you all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. So coming up here on the Raiders Report, according to ESPN, the Raiders are unlikely to draft a quarterback at pick number 13. I saw a lot of people talking about this on social media, so I thought, you know what? It's going to be my opportunity to chime in because what's not being said, because I've seen reports out there from Bleacher Report, I've seen articles from a lot of people, and everyone is speculating that, oh no, this means the Raiders are not going to be taking a quarterback in round one. That is not what was said at all, and that needs to be very, very clear. ESPN released an article which was titled 2024 NFL Draft, Latest News, Questions for All 32 Teams, and one of the questions was literally, if the Raiders don't go up and basically pay everything that they want to go get Jayden Daniels, what are they going to do at 13? According to Jordan Reed from ESPN, he expects the Raiders to take either an offensive lineman or a corner at 13. But based on the report, this still means that the Raiders could trade up for a quarterback. So, let's get one thing straight. ESPN did not report that the Raiders won't draft a quarterback in round one. They simply said it's just unlikely at pick 13, and realistically, if you follow along with this show, if you follow along with a lot of shows out there, I don't really know if it's all that much of a surprise. We know plan A is Jayden Daniels, and if you don't have that ability to get Jayden, I want the Raiders to take best player available. I don't want you to reach, and as much as I like Michael Penix Jr., I love Terrion Arnold, I love Quinion Mitchell, I love JC Latham, I love Taliese Fuaga. There are other players that I love, and for the silver and black, you cannot afford to reach at pick number 13. But here's what ESPN had to say on if the Raiders don't trade up for a quarterback. Depends if they want to make their defense even stronger by going cornerback, or if they want to address a glaring hole on the right side of the offensive line. If they don't get that franchise quarterback early in the draft, then it makes sense to go all in with a foundational right tackle to better protect quarterback Aidan or Gardner Minshew. So here's going to be the pinned comment on today's show, and I'm just genuinely curious. If the Raiders don't pick a quarterback in round one, who should they draft? You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down, and I want you to give me your answer. If the Raiders don't pick a QB in round one, who should they draft? If you don't go quarterback, I do believe that you have to go either offensive tackle or corner. And honestly, man, I think Antonio Pierce kind of agrees with that statement because, yes, I want to go best player available. But I'm also saying you got to go best player available at offensive tackle and corner. Luckily for the silver and black, I believe both of those positions are absolutely possible at 13. And AP agrees. This is what he said to Paul Gutierrez from ESPN. Yeah, man, there are some big boys now, that tackle group. Like you're talking about a bunch of trees walking around at the combine and at these pro days. It's impressive. You look at these three positions, quarterback, offensive line, and DBs. It's a very talented, deep group. Coming up here, what ESPN expects the Raiders to do in the draft, because I agree with everything that AP said. It is a very deep offensive line class. It is a very deep cornerback class, and there are a lot of good quarterbacks. I do think you have to take them a little bit earlier, but then again, good QBs fall every year, and there could be another Brock Purdy type of situation. If you haven't already, make sure you join the Raiders Report family here. We're pumping out videos left and right. We're live on the show. We go live at least 4 days a week. And if you missed our live show on Friday, Graphic Raider here in the studio. It's going to get wet and wild. But also, we're pumping out a lot of content around draft prospects because it's insane to say that the NFL draft is less than 2 weeks away, but if you want to check out some top prospects at the offensive tackle position, I put this video out there. If you want to check out some top prospects at the cornerback position, I put out this video. Luckily for you, both of these are available down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. So if you come away watch this, you're like, I want to know a little bit more about a Terrion Arnold. Maybe I want to know a little bit more about a Nate Wiggins. Don't worry, I got you. So here we go on what ESPN believes that the Raiders could do in the draft. Expect offensive line or cornerback at number 13 overall. At Alabama's Pro Day last month, Pierce seemed to be keeping a close eye on Terrion Arnold, who gives Vegas a shutdown corner on the outside. But sources with the team have also suggested to me that the Raiders could add another tackle to pair with Kolton Miller. Taliese Fuaga is natural match base on the whole at right tackle and play style, but don't dismiss JC Latham at that spot either. So coming up here, I got 5 players where if the Raiders, based on this ESPN report, to me then there are only 5 players that the Las Vegas Raiders can target at 13. If you're not going to take a quarterback there, there's only 5 players that Telesco, that Antonio Pierce should consider. Before I tell you who those 5 players are, I don't know about y'all, I slept like a flippin' baby last night. It could have been because I had a few drinks in me, but it's also because of my 8 sleep here. And if you haven't already, sleep to power a whole new you, because today's episode is brought to you by 8 Sleep, the high-tech solution to your age-old sleeping issues. 8 Sleep's Pod 3 cover slips right over your mattress, bringing heating and cooling tech that keeps you comfortable and sleeping deeper for a better, more restful night. I love 8 Sleep because it has totally stopped my night sweats. I like to snuggle with my dog, Chuck, but homie is like a heater. Thanks to 8 Sleep, I don't wake up sweating and get a better night's rest. The pod cover will improve your sleep by automatically adjusting your bed's temperature based on your individual needs. The cover can be added to any bed like a fitted sheet and allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed as low as 55 degrees and up to 110 degrees. In addition to keeping you at the perfect temperature all night, the pod also tracks your sleep and health metrics. On average, pod users see their sleep quality improve by 32% after just a month on the pod. Go to 8sleep.com/chatsports. I'm going to say it again in case you were not paying attention. 8sleep.com/chatsports and get $200 off plus free shipping on the pod cover by 8 Sleep. Invest in the rest that you deserve with the 8 Sleep pod. Coming up, my 5 players that the Raiders could pick at 13 if the report, based on what ESPN said, if they don't end up trading up for a quarterback, they're going to take a player at either offensive tackle or at cornerback, and I got 5 names that they need to keep in mind. I will mention that they're not ranked, and I know Jeremy ranked them here, so it's all good. Jeremy's going to unrank them real quick. But they're not ranked. They're just me putting players out there, 5 guys in general that I believe that the Raiders could target here at pick 13. The first name that I'm going to bring up, it is Terrion Arnold, the cornerback from Alabama. And if you haven't already known how much I love this guy, this dude to me is the closest thing that I've seen a Raider cornerback looking like. Like, he's got that mentality. He's got that swagger. I think he's a perfect fit in what Patrick Graham and what AP, what this entire defensive side of the football wants to do. He's a twitchy man cover corner with outstanding athletic ability. He also has that versatility, scheme versatility, where you could put him at strong safety. You can put him up near the line of scrimmage. You could put him almost all over the football field, because to me, he's going to be able to hang with wide receivers. He's going to be able to hang with tight ends. And like, his competitive nature, his ability to play press man, that is exactly what this organization is looking for, and quite frankly, they need right now. You're looking for a cornerback 1, here you go. Back in 2023, his coverage stats, he was targeted 79 times, gave up 41 grabs, 441 yards, 12 PBUs, 5 interceptions. This guy can do it all. At 6 foot, 200 pounds, he's not afraid to put his nose in there and get a little bit dirty. He's not afraid to wrap up somebody. Like, you're not going to see Marcus Peters' style of tackling with Terrion Arnold. That's just not going to happen. You can put him on one side of the football field, and then Jack Jones, everybody else is handling their responsibilities. If the Raiders add Terrion Arnold, and if they add this next guy here to that secondary, well, you combine that with Merrick, Marcus Epps, Jack Jones, Nate Hobbs, it's the best secondary in the NFL. Yeah, I said it. Let's go to the next name here. Elite last name, Quinion Mitchell from Toledo, and one of my favorite cornerback prospects. And it's just insane to me that, a few months ago, I took Quinion in round 3 of a mock draft, and I was like, I can't believe he just continues to skyrocket and skyrocket. But one of the things that I love about him is dude's built like a running back, tackles like a strong safety, but has the ball skills of a corner. And when you watch players play, compete, right, film, and anybody can say, oh, well, he dominated at Toledo. You're right. Watching Quinion Mitchell play at Toledo is like when you watch a really special kid in high school and then he ends up going to Alabama. Like, that's what Quinion looked like at Toledo. Then he goes to the Senior Bowl and starts kicking ass there, and I had somebody tell me who was at the Senior Bowl that he was the best player there, and it wasn't close. He's got outstanding bursts. He's got quick recovery. Like, these numbers are laughable. Again, it's Toledo, but like 62 times they threw at him, only 27 completions, 290 yards, no touchdowns, 18 PBUs, and an interception. I mean, these are Madden type of numbers. Like, it blows my mind that people were even throwing towards him. Why even do that? Like, at one point, you got to be like, well, F it. Let's ride here. Let's see what I can do. Quinion Mitchell, Terrion Arnold are both dogs. But let's play a little bit of a game here, and I like doing this because think about it. If you're Telesco, you're Antonio Pierce, let's just say that you're like, you know what? I really like Thayer Munford. That's going to be our starting right tackle. You go out, you sign a Dalton Reisner or something like that, and they walk into the draft saying, we're okay with the offensive line. To me, then there's two corners that you could take. Terrion Arnold, Quinion Mitchell. You're in the war room with those guys. Who you taking? Type TA for Terrion Arnold. Type QM for Quinion Mitchell. Let me know down below. For me personally, if the Raiders take Quinion Mitchell, I'm going to be ecstatic. If the Raiders take Terrion Arnold, I'm going to be ecstatic. And I'm not even going to sit up here and say, like, one guy is the cornerback one. I can make an argument of why both guys are 1A for this team. But if I had to pick, because I'm asking you to, I am going to go with Terrion Arnold. Let's go to the offensive line. Taliese Fuaga, the right tackle from Oregon State. Call me a sucker. You can say what you want, but anytime I hear that a Raider player, his family, his friends are Raiders fans, I love it. And Fuaga is a mean, nasty dude. Even though he does kind of look like Rebel Montana, he's got pass protection technique skills. It's outstanding. It shows up on tape. Really good against the run. It does need a little bit of work, but when you're just this massive of a human being that can just be mean, nasty, try to beat the shit out of somebody, like, that's what Fuaga is going to do. He is violent. He is a tone setter. He's the type of player where you put him on one side of the line, and then you're going to run behind him, and you're like, holy shit, this is a lot easier than what we had to do last season. On top of that, though, if you're able to add an elite offensive lineman like this to your line, Kolton Miller, Dylan Parham, Andre James, hell, I'm putting Thayer Munford probably at guard, and then you end up putting Fuaga over on the right side. This is a dynamic, unbelievable offensive line. With Fuaga, I would be extremely excited to see what new offensive line coach James Craig would be able to do with the 6'6", 335-pounder out of Oregon State. I know some of y'all love the Beavs. I love the Beavs too. Shout out to Fuaga. Let's go to JC Latham, the next right tackle here. And if you're able to add Fuaga and Latham, that's really going to totally change your offensive line. To right now, I'd say it is a concern of mine. And if it's not a concern for you to look at Thayer Munford and Jordan Meredith, I wish I had your level of confidence on the right side of the offensive line. But with Latham, like, to me, he's a dynamic player and a bulldozer in the human form. Like, you don't make people that look like this, that can move like that. Like, he is 6'6", 360 pounds, and if football doesn't work out for him, I'm telling you right now, put like a sled on him and just have him move up near Danville, Pennsylvania. They'll pay him a lot of money, and he can just push snow around because he is better than doing it than a snowblower. I mean, it's like unbelievable how athletic, how big this guy is, and he operated in a variety of run schemes, which is why I'm not really worried. And if I hear one more person throw out the name of Alex Leatherwood, that's like saying me and Wasted look the same. It's not the same. I get they wear the same helmet. I get that they both came from Alabama. But JC Latham and Alex Leatherwood are nothing alike. And anybody that can't see that, you can look at PFF numbers. You can watch the tape. I don't want to hear it. JC Latham does need some help. Like, in terms of who are the most ready to play right away prospects, I don't know if Latham is as ready to go as a Fuaga, as a Joe Wall, as an Olu Fashanu. But you know what? If you believe in your offensive line coach, which I believe in Craig, I know it's his first year, and if this guy hits, if you were to ask me who do I think has the highest upside out of all the offensive linemen, this guy to me has Trent Williams type of upside. I know, I said it. Let's go to the last name here, and I always butcher his name, but I'm going to go Troy Fatano. And the reason why that I have him up here is because I watched this tape the other day, and I know that he plays left tackle. And if you're going to end up taking him here, you probably have to have that conversation with Kolton Miller of, hey, I know you haven't played right tackle since 2016, back at your days at UCLA, but would you be open to the idea? And the reason why that I'm putting him on here, and this is like my new, if you were to ask me, Mitch, who is an under-the-radar player / like somebody that you haven't talked nearly enough about? Like, when we think about the players that we've talked about Quinion Mitchell, Terrion Arnold, Taliese Fuaga, JC Latham over and over and over again. Not nearly as much as we've talked about Fatano here from Washington, but when you watch his tape, he reminds me of Rashawn Slater. Now, his arms are a lot longer. Remember, Telesco drafted Slater coming out of, Northwestern, drafted him for the Chargers. But, like, this guy crushes people in the pass and the run game. Super athletic, and my favorite part about him, his ability to get to that second, to get to that third level, like, those are the type of offensive linemen, when you see these guys move, they're special talent. According to the PFF stats, in 993 snaps, a 75.1 overall grade, Sure, he allowed 2 sacks, 18 hurries, but somebody that I really think can change your offensive line at the next level, Troy Fautanu. So how about this? Let's play a little bit of a game here. Pick an offensive line. I don't know. Did you do this on purpose? Taliese Fuaga type FU, JC Latham JC, or Troy Fautanu. I want you to type FA. I know they're both DFs, but I was not expecting an FU. You know what? FU. That's how I'm rolling with it. I would go with the guy that I think is the more polished dude right away, better fit for the Raiders. But honestly, I don't think that you can go wrong with any three of those guys. But if you do end up drafting Fautanu from Washington, you got to have that conversation with Kolton Miller to see whether or not he'd bounce around. Those are the top 5 prospects that if the Raiders don't end up taking a quarterback at pick 13, that you have to consider. Corner, offensive lineman, Taliese AP moves up to you.